Do you know what laws you need to be aware of before visiting the Philippines? It's paramount to understand the rules that govern a place before setting foot there. Today, we're focusing on the Philippines, a tropical archipelago that's as diverse in its laws as it is in its landscapes. From the bustling streets of Manila to the serene beaches of Palawan, it's crucial to know what's expected of you as a visitor. Stay tuned as we dive into the most important laws to keep in mind when visiting the Philippines. The Philippines maintains a strict stance against drugs. This country is known for its no-nonsense approach when it comes to drug-related offenses, and it's essential for any visitor to understand this. The Philippines has some of the harshest drug laws in the world, with penalties ranging from long-term imprisonment to, in some cases, death. Yes, you heard it right. The ultimate punishment, signaling the severity of the country's stance against drugs. The Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 is the ruling document on this matter, and it doesn't pull any punches. If you're found guilty of drug possession, the penalties can be severe. For 10 grams or more of opium, morphine, heroin, shabu, or methamphetamine, the punishment is life imprisonment to death and a fine ranging from 500,000 pesos to 10 million pesos. Even less than 5 grams of these substances can still land you in prison for 12 years and a hefty fine. Drug use isn't taken lightly either. If you're caught using illegal drugs, you could be looking at a minimum of 6 months rehabilitation in a government center for the first offense. Subsequent offenses carry a penalty of 6 years and 1 day to 12 years in prison. And let's talk about drug trafficking. If you're found guilty of importing or selling any illegal drug, the penalties are life-threatening. You could face life imprisonment to death and a fine ranging from 500,000 pesos to 10 million pesos. These laws aren't just for show, they're actively enforced. The Philippine government is serious about combating the drug problem, and they're not afraid to make examples of those who break the law. So it's clear that the Philippines takes a hard line on drugs. The message is simple. Don't do drugs in the Philippines. It's not worth the risk. Whether you're a local or a foreigner, the laws apply to you. Remember, ignorance of the law excuses no one, especially when it comes to drug-related offenses. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, and when in the Philippines, dress as the Filipinos do. Now let's talk about the dress code and public decency laws in the Philippines. The country boasts a tropical climate, so light, breathable clothing is the way to go. However, it's important to remember that the Philippines is a conservative country with a strong Catholic influence. This means that modesty in attire is highly appreciated, particularly in public spaces. In the bustling cities, casual attire such as t-shirts, shorts, and flip-flops are common. However, when visiting government offices or attending formal events, it's best to dress more conservatively. For men, trousers and collared shirts are recommended, while women are advised to wear knee-length skirts or dresses, avoiding revealing tops. Religious sites require a different level of respect. When entering a church, for instance, both men and women should ensure their shoulders and knees are covered. Some churches provide shawls or wraps for those who come unprepared. It's also a good practice to remove your hat as a sign of respect. When it comes to public decency laws, the Philippines takes a firm stand. Public displays of affection beyond holding hands or a peck on the cheek might raise eyebrows. Furthermore, acts that offend public morals, such as indecent exposure or causing scandal in public places, can lead to legal consequences. It's important to note that these laws are not just about maintaining social order. They are deeply rooted in the culture and traditions of the Filipino people. Violating them can be seen as a sign of disrespect towards the local community. Last but not least, remember that nudity on beaches is generally frowned upon in the Philippines. While some more touristy areas might be more lenient, it's best to err on the side of caution and wear appropriate swimwear. In a nutshell, the key to enjoying your trip to the Philippines is to respect the local customs and traditions. Dress appropriately, act with decency, and remember that your actions reflect not just on you, but also on your home country. Respecting the local culture through your attire and behavior will make your visit more enjoyable. Navigating the bustling roads of the Philippines? You need to know this. In the Philippines, like in many other countries in the world, they drive on the right-hand side of the road. This may seem like a simple fact, but it's crucial to remember, particularly if you come from a country where driving is on the left. It's not just about adjusting your driving habits, it's also about recalibrating your instincts as a pedestrian. Now, let's talk about driving permits. If you're planning to do any driving during your visit, you must have an international driving permit. In addition to your valid driver's license from your home country, an international driving permit, or IDP, is a translation of your license into 10 different languages and is recognized internationally. It's a straightforward process to obtain one from your home country before you travel, and it's an essential document to carry with you on the road. The driving culture in the Philippines is, shall we say, lively. Traffic, particularly in cities like Manila, is often heavy and unpredictable. Drivers are known to be assertive, and the rules of the road can sometimes seem more like suggestions. But don't be fooled. Traffic laws are enforced and penalties can be severe. Traffic violations can range from minor offenses like parking violations, which could land you a ticket, to more serious offenses such as reckless driving, which could result in hefty fines or worse, imprisonment. And let's not forget, drinking and driving is strictly prohibited, with penalties including fines and imprisonment. Seatbelts are mandatory for all passengers, and the use of mobile phones while driving is strictly prohibited, unless in hands-free mode. Helmets are also obligatory for motorcyclists. These laws are in place to protect everyone on the road, so it's in your best interest to adhere to them. Getting familiar with local traffic rules can save you from unnecessary headaches during your trip. Happy driving, and remember, safety first. Love wildlife? The Philippines does too, and they have laws to protect it. This archipelago nation is a biodiversity hotspot, home to an astounding variety of species, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. But this unique biodiversity is under threat, and the authorities have taken steps to protect it. One of the key pieces of legislation is the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. This law, enacted in the year 2001, prohibits the killing, collection, and possession of wildlife species, particularly those threatened with extinction. The law is comprehensive, covering everything from the smallest insects to the largest mammals, and from the most common species to the critically endangered ones. Poaching is a serious offense in the Philippines. The law imposes hefty fines and imprisonment for those found guilty of hunting or capturing wildlife without a license. The penalties get steeper if the species involved is threatened or endangered. And let's not forget, the law also applies to marine life. Illegal fishing, especially using destructive methods like blast or poison fishing, is strictly prohibited. Possession of wildlife, especially endangered species, is also a criminal act. This includes not just live animals, but also their parts or derivatives like feathers, bones, or shells. Buying souvenirs or keepsakes made from wildlife parts can land you in hot water, so it's best to steer clear. The Philippines also has specific laws protecting its many protected areas, including national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and marine reserves. These laws regulate human activities in these areas to minimize disturbance to wildlife and their habitats. So, if you're planning to enjoy the Philippines' rich natural heritage, remember to respect its laws. Don't feed or disturb wildlife, don't pick plants or flowers, and certainly don't take anything home as a souvenir. Appreciate the rich biodiversity of the Philippines, but remember to do so responsibly. So, those are some of the laws you need to be aware of when visiting the Philippines. Let's quickly recap. Firstly, drug laws in the Philippines are strict and penalties are severe. It's not just about the illegal substances you might think of immediately, but also prescription drugs. Always have your prescriptions handy if you're carrying medication. Next, we discussed the dress code and public decency laws. You may feel like letting loose on your vacation, but remember to respect local customs and norms. Dress modestly, especially when visiting religious sites or government buildings. Public behavior too should be considerate and respectful. We also touched on traffic and driving laws in the Philippines. If you plan to drive, ensure you have an international driving permit, and keep in mind that traffic rules may differ from what you're used to. The left-hand drive system is followed and seatbelts are a must. Lastly, we delved into wildlife protection laws. The Philippines is home to a diverse range of species, many of which are protected. Disturbing or harming these creatures or their habitats can lead to hefty fines or even jail time. Remember, the laws we've discussed today aren't meant to scare you away. Rather, they're designed to protect everyone's rights and ensure the beauty of the Philippines remains intact for generations to come. Keeping these laws in mind will help ensure a peaceful and enjoyable visit to the Philippines. Stay safe, stay informed,